and only Ian H. Beckles. What's going on, brother? How are you?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm good. Oh, whoa, look at your name. Who fixed your name?
I just changed it myself. Look at me
Oh,
being all technical and whatnot.
I'm very surprised.
I
Not
know.
surprised. I'm happy. You're in
I'm
Indiana.
I'm sur- I'm surprised.
You're in Indiana. Who's your great? Wagwan, buddy. That's how we do it.
Yeah, well, that sounds funny. I don't know. I don't even know if that's ever been said before. There's not a lot of greats from Indiana, not in football, anyways.
So you got to be on the list then.
I'm not gay. I'm 57, and I've never made anybody's list, so I'm good without being on lists. I'm good.
Hey, I want to ask you about, we've talked a lot of, and we'll talk some more about Tampa and a little bit. You've always come back down on the player side. We've been talking a little bit about the Cincinnati Bengals and Shamar Stewart and this young rookie and how they're trying to slip things into this kid's contract because he has a young agent and they're trying to let him know like, hey, yeah, you got to sign this. But it's saying if he gets banged up or something that it voids the rest of his rookie contract. And now this kid's like, oh, I'm not going to play. And everybody in the beginning was saying, oh, he's just being a spoiled kid. Nah, man, how slippery is that when you're a player and like, hey, if I sign this, you may be screwing the other players too. And also you don't want to screw yourself, right? I mean, is that a thought process at all that you don't want to set a bad precedent as a player? I know you got to worry about yourself first, but you also don't want to do something that's going to screw your brethren in the PA either.
I don't think athletes think about the future, how it's gonna deal with it. I really don't. It's about taking care of yourself. Listen, I hate to get involved in anybody else's affairs. Um, it's just like if you have a couple that you love both of them and they get a divorce and you listen to one side of it, it's gonna sound one way. Okay,
Right.
but what a lot of people don't realize is what we read and what we hear in the news is given to us by the team. And the news works for the team. So whatever comes out sounds great sometimes, but that ain't the case. The way it sounds like a one-sided contract that he'd be an idiot to sign.
Right.
But if you write an article, be like, oh, he's being a spoiled brat. I'll give you a great example. The great Eric Rett, my brother I played with back in the day, the running back. I read in the paper, Eric Rett passes up a 5-year, $10 million contract. So I'm like, what? And I go, come here. And I go, did you pass up a 5-year, $10 million contract? He goes, yeah. And I go, are you nuts? He goes, do you want to see it? In essence, it was a 3-year, $3 million contract. Okay. 5 years, 10 million sounds great. But if you get a million, then all of a sudden it accelerates in the back. You're never going to see that money.
You're not in the NFL when it's not guaranteed.
That's what I'm saying. So don't listen to the media. We are the media. And, sometimes you got to investigate some stuff, but the media is going to say what's going to make the team look good. Because the second the media makes the team look bad, they get ostracized, and they don't want that to happen.
They don't get the access that they want either. Right?
Exactly.
So what do you think is the biggest kind of misconception when it comes to media and the players? Is it contracts? Is it who the leaders are? Because we've talked about this in different ways over the years.
Yeah.
Do you think it's like the players? We talked about like leaders, and the media could say a player is a certain leader, but they're not inside the locker room. What's the biggest misconception between the media and the players when it comes to a professional sports team?
Oh boy, I think there's a lot. The issue as an athlete, the people that come into your locker room as the media, and listen, me and you, Jay, are friends, and you're my brother, and I don't care if you weren't even in the media, we'd still be good, okay? If you were media and I'd never met you before, you'd still be media. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Because I can't open up completely to you because you may write about it, okay? So the media is not the enemy, but they're certainly not your friend. And I think you got to kind of approach it that way as an athlete. Now, I've been on both sides. And everybody's like, well, why don't you go into the locker room? I don't want to. I don't want to go in the locker room and really befriend a lot of people because then I'd have a harder time talking bad about them. Okay? Because that's what the problem in the media is a lot. You talk to whoever it may be every day and that's your boy. And then somebody says, well, he's playing poorly. Well, you know what I'm saying? It's just like you go to a Trump rally and I'm not making this political. If you go to Trump rally and ask them about things that Trump did, they'll excuse most of it because that's their guy. If you're media and your guy's being abused, your first reaction is gonna be to save him. Okay, so the relationships between the media and the players is not really a relationship. Okay, that's business, and I think there's some media members, and listen, there's some exceptions to everything. Okay, like for yourself, Jay.
Yeah, because I think it's. And I want to cut you off real quick.
Yeah,
I think it's. I feel like I'm in a unique situation. So I was coaching this weekend, and one of the dads, one of my guy Rod Kelly that I've known for 20 years,
yeah,
and he was asking me about the relationship with the media, and me, I'm the opposite. I like to go in there because
yeah.
I want to know some of the stories that I can tell on my show that other people aren't going to be able to get. Now, I, for one, and I know I may not be in my majority with this, I don't necessarily hesitate to say things poorly about athletes because to me, Beck, it's not personal. Like I've called out, and people want to get on my case because I've called out Nikita Kucherov for going 15 straight playoff games without scoring a goal. And people call me a hater. People don't say that people say that, oh, I don't like him and I don't want him to do well. Now, I've also been the guy the last 2 years that says he's getting shafted for the MVP. I was also the guy that went up to Toronto on my own dime covering the All-Star game, talking to international media members, asking why they're not voting for Nikita Kucherov for MVP. I've covered this guy and defended him when he's done bad things. But if I call him out, people are going to hate. That's on them. But I don't feel – so are you saying that I'm – and I don't look at like these guys like they're my friends. Like I think there's you and I talk about the difference between being a leader and leadership. I look at a difference between being friends and being friendly. I feel like I can be friendly with these guys, but they know I have a job at the end of the day. And as long as I don't make it personal, even if they're going to get butthurt, that's on them. And they're not my friends anyway. So how is it different? Am I different than other people? Like, I know it's tough for you because I didn't cover you as an athlete, but am I in the minority because I feel that way? Because I feel like there's people that are completely on the other end of the spectrum. Because I've had this argument with a guy like Tom Jones, who was a columnist. And he goes, well, I don't want to be a fan. All right, well, you don't have to be a fan, but if you're a columnist and it's always negative, then I know you don't want to like root on the team because you don't want to seem like you're favoring them. But I think there's another end of the spectrum where you just come off as like, you don't want to see them win. Like, I don't think the other end of the spectrum is unbiased because I feel like being involved and being excited. And I think it's natural to cover these guys and want to see them do well because you do get to know them. Am I in the minority then?
Well, that's hard for me to answer because I know you. I know you. Yeah. Okay. So listen, I said we may not have been the same friends, but I think we would have ended up friends anyways. Okay. Because I had people in the locker room that I didn't care for. And I'm just straight up. And there's other people that like Ted Webb was in the locker room and I didn't even know who he was, but he was interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like there was other people that were in the locker room. I just didn't even know who they were, but we were still cool. Ira Kaufman, he's media, he's press. Yeah. But if I see Ira, I don't treat him as press. I treat him as some dude I've known since 1990. Okay. Not everybody has the ability to do that. Okay. I think you do, Jay. If you go out and you see Steven Stamkos and you see a bunch of guys out there, they're going to address you as Jay. Okay. They're not going to address you as that media member. But at the end of the day, they still may be reserved to tell you some things because you're still in the press. Okay. I went on a fishing trip with my guy John Tortorella. Okay, back in the day, John Tortorella is one of my favorite people in the world. Why? Because he don't give a fuck. That's what I like. I like dudes like that. Okay. John Tortorella was telling. I'm on a boat with him, and he's telling me stuff, and I go, Coach, I'm in the press, right? And he goes, I don't give a shit. And he was telling me that, when they cut this guy, I went up into the office and I cussed everybody, and I'm just like, woo. Like he was telling me stuff like he shouldn't have been telling me, but I wasn't depressed. So maybe you're also you're able to make people comfortable to where they would forget. Okay. But I'm just telling you, the majority of athletes look at the press I don't want to say the enemy, but you don't want to say the ally either, okay?
Right.
Because a lot of times, and you know, Jay, a lot of guys are just waiting for you to slip up.
Yeah.
They're just waiting for you to slip up so they
That
can write
gotcha
something.
moment.
I told you he was this. And I think we sniffed that out. Um, I don't ever see it with you. And like when you talk about being friends with people in the locker room, I remember back in the day when Dave Moore had a terrible game. I eviscerated him. That's just what I'm gonna do. Okay,
Yeah.
I have nothing else. If I don't eviscerate him, I think people look at me differently. Oh well, he knows Dave. He's taking easy. I'm never gonna do that. Okay,
Mhm.
so that's why I don't really want to get too involved. Listen, I met Tristan Wirfs. I think he's one of the nicest young men I've ever met. If he poops on himself, I'm gonna go, look how terrible that was. Like
Mhm.
I've never seen that.
Right.
But I would definitely point it out. And me knowing him and him knowing me will have nothing to do with my evaluation. But not every media member is able to do that. And I think a lot of media members, and this is the unfortunate part, Jay, I think the players who toss the media members salads, a lot of times don't get written bad about. And the
Right.
people, remember you said who's the leaders in the locker room? A lot of times the leaders in the locker room is the one to tell the media, go F yourself.
Right.
Those are the leaders in the locker room, and that's the people that the media attacks. And that's the part that I have a problem with.
Yeah, that's a great point that you bring up too, because I feel like the media members that you have to be wary about are the ones that always feel like they have breaking news, because people like that, they're always on the hunt for a scoop.
Yep.
Right. And this is something that we can tell our viewers out there is like those guys that are always trying to be like breaking news and breaking this and breaking that. Like none of the stuff that I ever break news is never something that's like, oh, gotcha, or this guy fucked up or anything. It's
Right.
always like this guy's leaving here, or this guy. It's never something where it's really that bad towards a player. It's kind of more like a change of scenery or something like
Sure.
that. But you're right too, because I look at certain players out there and certain guys that are friendly, and it's almost like you have to keep yourself guarded because they are looking. There are these gotcha guys that want to write these stories, and they are trying to use whatever happens to a player, whether it's good or bad, to advance themselves, even if it would harm that relationship with that player. So, and it's tough. It's tough because you have to do a job. You have to report on some of these things. But Ian, to be honest with you, I think some of the times, like I've seen a couple of things that have happened that people said, hey, would you mind not posting that right away? Or would you mind waiting on that? And it's like, okay, I mean, but I think that gives you respect from the
100%.
organization. And I think there's also things that, they will let you in if they know that. And it's not like you're not doing your job, but I think there is privileged information at times. So there is kind of a line, right? There's like, let's say we are cool, right? And something happens with you and it's like, oh shit, is that really news? Like, does that change anything? No, but at least it puts me in a decent grace with the players. There's also that line, right? Too, where, I'm not saying that they're kissing my ass or anything like that, but there's certain things, if you are, let's say, out to dinner or out to have a couple of drinks with a player or a coach or something, and they're talking about, like, you're not supposed to you're not supposed to let everybody know that privileged information, because everybody's not like John Tortorella.
You're right. And I think there is a line, Jay, and here's the line. FAIR. If you're fair. If you're fair with people, I think most athletes will understand, okay? Because I'll give you a great example, Gerald McCoy, okay? You've heard me speak against Gerald McCoy thousands of times. Have I ever got personal with him? And if I did, what did I say? Because I don't remember.
Just that he
I
was
never said
soft.
he's not a good person. I never said he
No.
wasn't a good. I never. All I'm saying is when he gets on the football field, he's doing things that's not good. And I listen. If Gerald wants to sit down with me and watch one of his films and me explain to him what he was doing wrong, I can do that. I don't think he wants that because once again, I'm never being unfair. If Gerald McCoy changed his game in the middle of the season and was doing the things right, you know what I would say? Man, Gerald McCoy got better, and he's doing the right thing now, but he didn't. Okay, I was out with Dave Wanstead once. I wasn't with him. It was at like a barbecue event, and Dave Wanstead was there, and he recognized me, and we were talking. And I said, let me tell you something. I get a lot of heat for saying that I think Gerald McCoy is overrated. He looks at me and goes, I agree. That was the defensive coordinator at the time, I believe. Okay, so I try not to be unfair, Jay. I really do. When I look at somebody, I don't care if you're white, black, Asian. I don't care what school you went to. I'm gonna watch the way you're playing, and I'm going to evaluate your playing, and that is it. I don't care if you're on the football field, you're wearing a Buccaneers jersey, you're one of us, and I'm going to evaluate you as a football player, and everything else is outside. I don't care.
Unless you go to Purdue, then you have a real problem with
Well, the fuck all that. That's real.
Unless you have Purdue. One of the guys, and shout out to our friends at Pewter Report, they put out something about a kind of an unsung hero from camp, and it's Logan Hall. I wanted to get your opinion on Logan Hall after the first couple of years, because I think you and I were kind of lockstep in, Will Golson's not here anymore. It's the first time we haven't seen Will in a while. It feels like Logan Hall is going to be that guy, the next coming to Will Golston, where he's going to maybe get 5 or 6 sacks, maybe a year. He's going to set the edge, and he's going to be reliable. Do you still see that same thing with Logan Hall, where he's just a big body that's going to help out in the run and just going to kind of be you need those consummate pros, don't you, in the locker room, where not every edge guy, not every down lineman is going to be, all right, maybe he could be a 10-sack guy. I feel like he's gotten better, and I feel like he kind of understands what his role is. I like Logan Hall. I think you need guys like that on your team.
Well, ironically, I just ran into Will Golston last weekend for the first time.
Wow.
I've never been around. Big old boy. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, and I wanted to. Logan Hall, I think his ceiling is more than Will Golston. Okay, I don't think he could ever be Will Golston, because Will Golston is a unique old school throwback type of player. Okay, he's the epitome of a Big Ten defensive end. Big bruising, bullying, ain't gonna get a lot of sacks, push the pocket. I think Logan Hall has more wiggle than that. I think he has more of a ceiling than that. Will he succeed with more play? I don't know, and that's the thing. Nobody could ever know. I mean,
Right.
I've never seen him play 60 plays. That's the thing. As a defensive lineman, especially defensive linemen, they come in and out because they're pussies, none like the offensive linemen who often stay in the whole game. But when you see a defensive lineman that doesn't come out the game, man, you know how valuable that son of a bitch is? I mean, like even Sapp would come out every once in a while, okay? You don't see many people. So when you elevate somebody's, reps, it's going to change the equation. It may change it for better, and it may change it for worse. But I haven't seen anything from Logan Hall to make me not like what he's done to this point.
Yeah, I look at this team, and there's so much excitement with this roster now. There's so much excitement with, obviously Chris Godwin's still not running yet, but Emeka Egbuka, a wide receiver, what he's been able to do, and, Shiloh Sanders and Desmond Watson, even in some of the undrafted guys. I mean, Jason Light, and just think about it, when you were on DAE and think about people and they were just hammering Jason Light, I mean, he's done a pretty remarkable turnaround in the last 6-7 years, where going from a guy where he was it was Roberto Aguayo, right? That was something that it was stuck on him like a badge, like a scarlet letter. And now people look at it as, you were helped bring Tom Brady here. You drafted Tristan Wirfs and Antoine Winfield Jr. I mean, it's pretty remarkable to see Jason Light's turnaround, isn't it?
Well, talk about being fair. There was a time where I ran into Jason Light, and he was like, "You were kind of tough on me the other day. I was listening." And I go, "What part didn't you like? Or what part was I being unfair?" And he goes, "Oh, no, you were being fair." He goes, "But you were being tough." And I go, and then the next time I see him, I said, "Jason, you're doing a fabulous job." And he says to me, "I know you tell me otherwise." And that's facts, okay?
Right.
So, okay, remember my guy Duran, who conceded to who? Who did he concede to? Sugar Ray?
Yeah, no mas.
No mas. Remember that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what everybody remembers between Roberto Duran. You ever watch a documentary on him? That was a bad motherfucker,
Yeah.
okay? I mean, before and after, by the way, okay? So it's like Bill Buckner. Roberto Aguayo is Duran and Buckner
For Jason Light,
to Jason Light, okay? If you take Aguayo out, what else are you going to say? What else are you going to say? I mean, it's way more plus than minus for me, okay? And it's easy. It's not easy. You can get lucky and put together a Super Bowl team, but to keep a team winning, like Tony Dungy did back in the year and Rich McKay, that's harder, brother. Because a lot of times you win that Super Bowl, there's a dive. We lost Tom Brady. We didn't dip that much, and we've kind of stayed here, which is pretty darn admirable. Okay, and then we're what, 4 years after Brady, and we're still competing. I think if you talk about GMs in the NFL in the last 10 years, I'm not sure Jason Light's not on top of that list right now. I'm not sure.
I know it's still early, but who are the teams that you're looking at this season? Who are some of the NFL teams that really intrigue you going into the year?
Oh, intrigue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I listen to everybody else, but I try not to. Okay,
Yeah.
I think it's funny. It seems like a broken record every year. There's certain teams that everybody expects. Everybody, well, this is the year for the Cardinals. This
Yeah.
is the year for the Bears. It's
Mm-hmm.
been the year for the Bears. It's
Right.
been the year for the Cardinals. Every year it seems like, and those teams just don't win. I don't think you're gonna win a playoff game with Kyler Murray. Okay, I don't think Caleb Williams is the answer. I mean, everybody's telling me why he is the answer, but I haven't seen it yet. Okay, so it's really hard to evaluate teams because what I really want to say to Chicago is don't put so much on that young man's plate.
Right.
Get good around him. Run the football. And that's the thing. That's the problem I had with Jameis Winston. When Jameis Winston was thrust into the starting position right away, he threw the ball 40. And I don't know the number,
Mm-hmm.
but I bet if you go back in Jameis Winston's career, he threw the ball more than any quarterback in his first 4 years, or maybe
Right.
5.
Yeah, that's why you
Seriously.
set those. That's why you set those new records.
Okay, but you throw 30 picks, but you really have to start with your through 30 touchdowns because how many quarterbacks can throw 30 touchdowns? There's very few on the earth, okay? Now, how many can
The
throw
what?
30
On the what?
touchdowns? Earth. And how
Thank you.
many can throw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions? Just one. And that's Jameis Winston. That's
I'll
what
give it.
if
I'll give it to you like this. This is the
yeah.
Jameis. I have it right here. He threw the ball over 535 times in his first 2 years. 535 and 567. His last year with Tampa Bay in 2019, he threw the ball 626 times.
Now, is that an equation for success for
It
that poor
can't
young
be.
man?
So I am glad that you bring that up because you think about it, and people, at least on the favorable side of Jameis, not talking about the people that don't like Jameis, because regardless, but you
Sure.
think about it. All right, it's impressive what he was able to do, right? When he threw the ball that many times for his first 2 years, and he was able to put those statistics. But does that really lead you to success if you have a guy that young throwing the ball that many times? I mean, you
Never.
look at it. Jameis threw it 535 and 567 in 16 games.
Jesus.
Baker, the last 2 years, threw 566 and 570 in 17 games. So he threw it slightly more as a 7 and 8 year veteran or an 8 and 9 year veteran
And an extra game.
with
And
an extra
And an
game.
extra game.
With an extra game. Think about that. That's crazy.
Well, you know and I know, Jay, when you put a young quarterback out there, the equation is, and listen, Ben Roethlisberger did it. Russell Wilson did it. A bunch of other young quarterbacks did it. To make somebody throw the ball 35 times a game as a young kid is just not a good equation. It's dumb, okay? Because the defensive coordinators on the other side are really smart, and they're going to goad you, and they're going to get you eventually. Boy, I want what Tim Tebow did. Now, for people who still say that Tim Tebow can play, what would have if people have actually said Tim Tebow still can play? What would Tim Tebow have looked like on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers throwing the ball 540
He
times?
wouldn't have played 16 games.
Thank you. He wouldn't have played 4. He wouldn't have played 4. He'd have been done after 2 because he'd have 30 interceptions. Might have been the first 4 games.
Ben Roethlisberger, let me give you the 2 stats his first 2 years. He only played 14 and 12, but still a good chunk. 295 and 268.
That's 20. That's 20 a game, Jay.
His first 2 years. Russell Wilson played all 16 games the first 2 years. 393 and 407. Yep. So those guys, he threw the ball 150 times less both years than Jameis Winston did.
100%. And what's crazy is the Bucs didn't have a running game until what? Till Tom Brady got here.
You could argue that they didn't have a running game until Brady left into year 2 with Baker.
Well,
they were still last.
I don't think Brady wanted to run the ball personally.
No, but they were still last in the league.
Yeah, they were.
They were last in the league Baker's first year. They didn't. I mean, it's pretty wild. What do you got going on at the Dignitary? Man, what was going on this weekend? I heard it was jam-packed there.
Yeah, we had these this young man, Ray is his name. He comes in here, he does like this artist thing, and these artists come in and they sing, and we got a nice crowd. The parking lot's full. We have a parking lot across Gandy as well. So we had a lot of nice young people in here. It rained on them a little bit, so everybody came inside. It was kind of packed up, but it was a nice little weekend. Saw a lot of good faces, and we had a good time with the dignitary. It was cool.
Food truck this weekend?
Food truck's gonna be Friday and Saturday, and probably Sunday afternoon. So come taste my girl Sandy's food. I think it's the best shrimp and grits in town, and maybe
It
the best
is.
Cajun food for real.
It is. Beck, I leave for South Carolina tomorrow, so I'll be gone for the rest of the week. I'm going to Clemson Wednesday.
What you doing over there?
Coaching baseball, man. Right
Oh
back
yeah,
at
well,
it.
good for you. Enjoy yourself,
So
brother.
we'll be at Clemson University playing Wednesday night. So that's going to be a really how great would that be, right? To be able to be a kid, high school player, and you get to play at a place like Clemson, right? I mean, I can't even imagine doing that as a high school player. Imagine when you were growing up in Canada, is it high school? Is that what they call it? High school?
Yeah, it's called high school. It's
No,
not a different world. It's just right over the border, dog. It's
no,
high
because
school.
you call it what, provincials?
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
When
Provinces, you mean?
No, like there was like state championships.
Yeah, provincial.
That's what I'm saying. That's I was trying to be respectful. That's all. I know it's not state championships, but
get it right.
Get it right. Pay the price. But imagine being a high school kid and playing football at Clemson. Like, I know it's different for baseball, but
sure.
insane.
Listen, anything is amazing for little kids to go into stadiums that they're watching. That's got to be larger than life. Like I see young kids step on the Buccaneers field, and I see their eyes light up. That's definitely a different look.
He's the Indiana Hoosier great Dr. Ian H. Beckles. Make sure you check the Dignitary Cafe, 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. Ian_Beckles. Go check him out there. Beck, always a pleasure, man. Thanks, buddy.
Deuces.
All right, man. The one